just seen like full rage, dark red aura just surrounding him. Like it's kind of hard to explain if you, unless maybe if you watch like anime or something like that, where you've seen, like let's say like Dragon Ball Z or something like that, where they power up, or somebody is really angry, and you get to see their aura. That's what I seen from Robbie Lawler, but real life. And it's hard to find a clip of it. I've tried many times to find Robbie Lawler's walkout entrance. Oh snap! I gotta adjust this because your face is all up in the screen. Fix that real quick. All right, there you go. Um, but his his aura was insane. I tried looking it up on YouTube, but I couldn't find it. The best thing I could find was some horrible quality, and it skipped like most of the parts where you would see him walking out and getting hyped up. But the strange thing is, I haven't seen it since. I've made sure I watched his other fights to see how he would come out, but he hasn't had that same aura. Maybe he tried to tame it to, or maybe he was battling some demons that day. I don't know, but it was crazy. I can't think of anybody else that, at least off the top of my head, where I've seen their aura. So maybe Izzy's, but that'd be kind of different. But as far as UFC, one thing I wanted to do was go over my 20 favorite fights in the last 5 years. Now, I did make this list, I believe, in the beginning of the year for a different podcast, but now I'm using the same list pretty much, slight variations just because favorite fights have changed. Just a few over the course of this year. So I'm gonna go over that with you guys, and definitely, if you guys have your list, I would definitely love to know. So put it in the comments. So I gotta split up 10 normal fights and 10 championship fights. So I'm gonna go over the normal fights first, and then I'll go over the championship fights. And it's no particular order, it's just my favorite 10. And this is based on like hype, stakes, the outcome, and the story. I'm not gonna go into full detail on each and every person's, but wherever I decide to think up when I think of their fight, that's what I'll talk about. So the first one I have is Sugar Sean O'Malley versus Chris Montanino, if I'm pronouncing his name right. First time in the UFC for Chris versus Sugar. And Sugar, oh my god, this is Madison Square Garden. You got the Conor McGregor main event, and Sugar stole the show. This dude was doing basketball dribbles and everything, and just blasting Chris in the face over and over again, and he was just walking it down until it got stopped. That fight was, you don't see that fight very often, a fight like that very often. Only other fight like that you can see is maybe with like somebody like Max Holloway or something like that, which that fight's on the list too, so we're gonna get to that. But if you haven't seen that fight, or you don't know who Sugar Sean O'Malley is, I definitely recommend you look him up. And I'll say this as well. As far as like, it was just hype just to see Sugar fight again. I think that was the fight coming off of the controversial quote unquote loss from Cheeto Vera, and he showed that he still always was a savage, and just bruh, we know it. You gotta watch out for that dude. But the stakes, I guess there are stakes as far as like, oh my god, look at his leg or whatever, but he made that look like that was nothing. Outcome just phenomenal. Stole the show, Madison Square Garden, especially because Conor broke his leg, so that kind of blew all the hype out of that fight. And the story just continues with Sean just dominating, pretty much. The second fight I got is Conor versus Nate 2, where Conor actually avenged his loss against Nate in the first one. Just it's just a rematch of a already hype fight. Both dudes talking hella shit and everything, and Conor ended up correcting his mistakes and coming out on top. Just, I mean, if you don't know about that one, then definitely recommend watching both fights. We might even still see a trilogy that's talked about later. We don't know, but that story continues. Outcome just made Conor more hyped. A lot of people start jumping on the Conor bandwagon after that. Nate gained more followers. Just the hype was on a whole different level at the time. Still one of the highest levels it can get. Masvidal versus Ben Askren is the next one. That fight, the quickest fight in UFC history. Masvidal with the flying knee. The hype for that fight, the hype was all on Ben Askren, really. Of course, Masvidal just came off of the knockout of Darren Till and the three-piece Minnesota to Leon Edwards. Then Ben Askren, second time in the UFC, he just beat Robbie Lawler, which I was just talking about, where he had all that. Or he just beat Robbie Lawler in a. Some people say, yeah, it was just a controversial fight because he could have got stopped. Like, he was getting smashed, but he came back and choked it out, which I think he lost. He choked him out, but some people disagree. But anyways, yeah, there was a lot of hype on Ben Askren coming off of that fight. Ben undefeated and an extremely great wrestler. The stakes, I think the stakes were more so higher in hindsight than it was at the time, because the outcome of that just led to just Masvidal versus Nate, which that's a whole different thing. We'll talk about that later. But and that's where Ben Askren hit a nosedive down. So we'll get more into the story later as far as that one, because that involves another person. But the next fight I got is Yair versus the Korean Zombie. That fight was insane. I akin that fight to like the Raid, a fight in a Raid or the Raid 2 or something like that. It was just madness. And then the way it ended was the craziest thing. If anything you take from that fight, hype, stakes, story, none of that matters as much as the outcome. Because Yair was, I believe he was losing that fight. Then he got super friendly towards the end. I think looking at Yair versus Max, I think that was like kind of gamesmanship. He was lulling Korean Zombie in, and then he caught him with that incredible uppercut with his elbow. I don't even. He need to name that a move. That needs to be something named after him, because that was incredible. No, we'd never seen that before. It was well executed and everything. The next on the list is Ngannou versus Rosenstrike. That fight, this was when Ngannou, he came off his loss against Stipe, then Derek Lewis, and then he just started destroying everybody. And then this Rosenstrike guy came out of nowhere. Basically another gorilla, but just more bloated than Ngannou. Ngannou, it didn't matter. This dude just blew through him like a train in a whatever you want to put in front of a train. He didn't stand a chance. The strikes is actually, it was pretty funny in the way he was striking, because it's just super meme worthy. He obliterated him, and the hype. The reason why that fight was hype was because Rosenstruck obliterated Alice Overeem's lip, completely, like busted open his lip. Disgusting. Like, just look it up if you haven't seen it. It's